It made music feel human again. I was in the classical world and I was like, actually, this is much cooler music. And then you can get stuck in the deal, so you can't even release your own music anymore. But hey, I'm British. I love queuing. From playing my first ever Sofar Sounds show, frustrating about the music industry today is
Welcome everyone, I'm sitting here with Josh Savage, who just played a song in our kitchen. What kind of food do you think would suit the vibe of your tune that you just played?
ooh, food for my... Okay. I write songs for people who are a little bit lost and who are looking for a bit of hope. Don't know what kind of food that is. What food gives you hope? I guess the opposite to a burger. What's the opposite to a burger?
Like a hopeless end of a night.
Yeah. Then you feel like shit afterwards.
Salad maybe then.
Yeah, but then you're still hungry afterwards. Yeah, that makes sense actually. I'll go for a salad.
Right. Apart from salads, like, do you have a signature Josh dish?
So I'm really good at breakfasts.
Oh really?
Because I'm so busy in the evenings mostly. So I'll make a killer spinach pancakes with blueberries. It's just easy. Just throw some spinach in it.
Oh really?
And it's green.
In it, like, or on it?
Yeah, in the pastry.
Oh really?
Yeah. Oh. And then it's actually really, really good.
Yeah.
And I have that with peanut butter. It's good.
How did you get into music in the first place? Is it like an always thing, or was it like a defining moment for that you knew this is what I'm gonna do?
So my parents are big music fans. They always played music. Apparently I used to headbang to Nirvana as a baby, and my parents nurtured that with music lessons, and I really enjoyed it. It's always been therapy for me, especially songwriting. And after I finished my studies, I just took a gap year where I had a mission of seeing as much of the world as possible, playing as many shows as possible. And it went a lot better than I expected. And I'm still on that gap year 10 years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was your study somehow related to music or not at all?
I did a classical music degree. Yeah.
Okay. Because what's your first instrument that you learned to play? Or like your main instrument?
Main instrument's singing.
Okay.
But my first instrument was piano. But the one I started taking a bit more seriously was actually trumpet.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't play trumpet as much anymore because I can't sing and play the trumpet at the same time.
Yeah, that's difficult.
And actually I'm a better guitar player now than a piano player. So
yeah.
I'm like master of none, jack of all trades, basically.
And what do you prefer? It's like a writing tool, the piano or the guitar? Or do you switch?
I switch. Yeah. I think if it feels a bit samey, that's when I need to change it up to make it feel more fun and more interesting.
And the moment you started getting into music, like how long after that did you start getting into songwriting? Was that?
So actually, I remember I'd just come off a tour as a 12-year-old boy, touring with the National Children's Choir of Great Britain around Australia. And on the way home, my uncle played a Coldplay album in the car. And that blew my mind because I was in the classical world and I was like, actually, this is much cooler music. I loved how it made me feel and I really resonated with the songs. So I was like, I'm going to start writing my own songs. And I think I was about 13, 14 when I started writing my own songs, yeah.
Nice.
Frustrating about the music industry today is we're in a streaming era where music fans don't even know who they're listening to at the moment. And we even had a situation where actually my friend Belmont, amazing artist, he was just in Berlin and he played a Sofar Sounds show and he had a fan who didn't actually know him as an artist but recognized the song when it was played. Yeah. And that's so frustrating these days.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people with like millions of streams and they can't fill a bar.
Yeah, because we're in the playlist culture where people listen to music passively in the background, and we've lost the connection between artist and fan, and it's not sustainable.
How do you try to maintain that with your audience?
I'm still figuring that out, to be honest, but that's why I was so inspired to bring Sofar Sounds back to Berlin because first of all, Sofar gave me a platform to grow as an artist, and also it's amazing that you can play a show that you don't need to promote and you can just focus on the music, which is actually quite rare in the music industry. and it allowed me to grow from living rooms to the arenas opening for Robbie Williams to 100,000 people. And if it wasn't for Sofar, I wouldn't have got that far, that's for sure. And I probably would have burned out a lot sooner too. It made music feel human again. So that's one of my initiatives I'm trying to make work. I also work in the Web3 space where I release my music as NFTs, and that was really special because I managed to develop a bond with my fans, even though if I hadn't ever met them, they haven't seen me live yet. They just really connected to the music because they were collecting the work and paying more attention to music than you would in playlist culture.
Yeah, how does that work, music as NFTs? Can you give like a short tech pitch about that?
It's got a lot of layers, and it's the way I see it, it's like a digital vinyl that also unlocks super fan access. So for example, what I did, I released my album as a music NFT collection called Love Letters, where I handmade 888 letters, where it had like collectible lyrics on the visual square picture, but it also played the music in the background. You would collect one of 8 songs and also different arrangements of each song as well. So there's 24 different pieces of audio. And if you had some of the really special ones, that would unlock superfan access, such as like free tickets to my shows for life, me writing a custom song for the fan. So it's almost like a digital vinyl and also a bit like collectible Pokemon cards, but in the form of music.
And is it like bonus content as well to your music on streaming services?
It can be. I mean, what's really great is it's just brand new technology that can authenticate the digital world. Yeah. And I think that's what gives me hope with AI coming into the fold with everything. It's a way of making sure to check what is real and what isn't in the digital world, because blockchain can kind of counteract the AI stuff. Yeah.
Seems very digital.
I feel like I've lost you in that whole explanation.
No, not at all. No, I'm just. It's just something I've never. I mean, I saw it on your Instagram, but I've never heard of it. But I mean, it's a way, of course, to kind of engage people again.
I think what's exciting is it cuts out the middlemen.
Yeah.
And that's the kill at the moment. If you sign a major deal, you're giving away 80 to 85% of your future income to a major, and then you can get stuck in the deal, so you can't even release your own music anymore.
Yeah. So yeah, you're very outspoken about being independent. How do you define your success or success in general as an independent artist?
I don't give up, and I write music, authentic, truthful music that people clearly resonate to.
Yeah.
And fixing this fucked up music industry.
Yeah. I saw also some TED Talks on your Instagram, right? That was also about that, like about motivation, about.
Yeah.
How did you roll into that? Is that something you want to pursue further, or?
I mean, if it helps make a difference and make the environment better for artists, then 100%. I think that's an issue in this music industry, that artists can feel too scared to speak up about. And I think by me sharing my journey, I hope that it inspires others as well and makes things easier for others too.
Yeah.
A small breakdown about my journey. I was really badly bullied at school, for example, and that's what my TED Talk was about, and how music kind of gave me a sanctuary and allowed me to grow and connect with people to get to where I am today. Yeah. And to the bigger stages.
Yeah. Did that influence the way you feel on a stage?
In what way? What do you mean?
I mean, like the way you feel in front of people.
I mean, it's funny because I'm actually an introvert.
Yeah.
But I think most artists are. Mm-hmm. But I feel like somehow the stage is when you're somehow at peace and you stop overthinking as much, and you have your chance to get what's out of your system, you know. Mm-hmm. I mean, I write really real, vulnerable songs, and I'm really bad at communicating what I'm feeling. So music's a great medium for that, basically, and it's amazing that I've had people come up to me say how my music has saved them. For example, I played a festival in the UK, and this girl came up to me who heard my song Mountains and Hurricanes, and she said before that she was causing self-harm for 2 years, and then she heard my song, and she'd never done it since, actually. And if I can have that impact on the world and change someone's life, then I have to keep pursuing it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty intense. Before your gigs, like, is there a way you kind of move from that introvert who writes to the one who can share that on the stage with like hundreds or thousands of people? Is there like a ritual you have to make that switch?
I think it's just practice, to be honest. I think the fact that I played so many living room shows, which are probably the scariest shows
Yeah.
than any out there, that just gave me a thick skin and taught me a lot, so that actually playing the bigger shows actually almost made it easy in comparison. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I was shitting myself before jumping on stage to 100,000 people. But once I was there, like, I felt so at peace, because I'd been so used to playing in really tiny places as small as this bloody kitchen. And I remember, like, some shows I'd only play to 4 people in a living room. And if you can get a crowd of 4 making a lot of noise, playing to a much bigger crowd of people, to 100,000 people, is so much easier, because then you only need to convert a smaller percentage of people in that audience.
Yeah.
And people tend to join in from that. But it's just, if you get those core people in the beginning, then it's actually quite easy afterwards.
When the crowd is that big, do you still play to individuals, or do you address it as like a big crowd? Is it like a whole entity to you?
It's impossible. That's the
Yeah.
thing. It's a wall of faces.
Yeah.
And that's why I pulled back from that a little bit and went back to the more intimate shows with Sofar, for example, because I actually missed that connection. Like, having that success, actually, I felt a lot more disconnected, and yeah, I wanted to come a bit more back to community, especially after the pandemic. And we're all going through a loneliness epidemic at the moment as well. So I wanted to change that.
How did you get into such a big venue as supporting Robbie Williams? That was in Munich, right?
And
Yeah.
at Messe München, which apparently was the biggest show ever done in Europe.
Really?
Yeah. And I got there because I just grinded so hard up to now, and I was playing 4 to 5 shows a week for multiple years. I mean, I didn't even have a place to live for my first 3 years in my music career. I couchsurfed for 3 years and just crashed wherever I could, just so I could focus on music, and any money I made, which was basically nothing, would go back into the music. But yeah, basically one of those shows out of my like 700 plus shows around 4 continents just happened to be in front of the right person, and they were working on the Robbie Williams show, and they put me in front of Robbie, and Robbie liked the music, so they invited me to play.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of, cities, countries. What do you think are the pros and cons of the scene we have in Berlin? Like, if we would consider it as one big music scene, of course, there's like a lot of subgenres, but
The pros and cons.
yeah.
I think German audiences are the most supportive I've ever played to, which is what inspired me to move here too. And they're very respectful.
Yeah.
And I think the respectfulness is actually a little bit of a con as well, because, and I have to warn my UK friends when they tour through Germany as well, Germany is so respectful that the artists sometimes feel like, are they hating me right now? Because they're so quiet, because they really want to listen.
Yeah.
And I could compare it to, for example, Mexico, which I think is probably the most energetic shows I've ever played. They have so much energy in the shows. They are so loud, and it's always a good time. However, they don't support by buying merch, for example, whereas in Germany, they're like, you feel like they hate you, but you'll probably get more merch sales in Germany than any other territory.
Yeah. You obviously revived Sofar Sounds Berlin. It already existed, was one of the bigger ones, I think. Can you tell me how that happened? Like, how did you manage to get that entity back to life? And why did you do that especially?
So I've got a really close relationship with Sofar. From playing my first ever Sofar Sound show in 2013 in a tiny living room in Oxford. where it was the first time I ever felt heard. I was inspired from that to actually bring Sofar to my city at the time. I was living in the south of England called Winchester.
Yeah.
And then we actually expanded to a bigger city nearby called Southampton as well. So I was running those cities 10 years ago as a volunteer, just purely out of the love. And this was when Sofar was purely volunteer based as well, where it's just hat money and all of that would go to the artist. I did that because we only had one music venue in Winchester. And I was like, Sofar's perfect. We've got loads of great talent, loads of great venues. And from that as well, that kind of springboarded me to being connected with the whole Sofar ecosystem and allowed me to tour everywhere around the world. And when I moved to Germany, to Berlin, we had a Sofar here, which was great. And then it stopped. And I was really sad about that, actually. And then after the pandemic, I was feeling so isolated. A lot of my friends actually that I made when I first moved to Berlin don't live here anymore, especially with the pandemic. A lot of them moved out. And honestly, I went through a really bad breakup as well, and I felt extremely isolated. And the founder of Sofar, Rafe, who's now a really great friend of mine, he asked me if I could help them bring it back to Berlin. And at the time I was like, I'm too busy with my own artist career. And then I realized I need a community again for my mental health more than anything. So I was just going to do one show a month, but the first show sold out within an hour. And from that, we kind of springboarded to doing 10 shows a month now. And it's an absolute dream. We've got a beautiful team of people. It's connected me with amazing people. And also we're bringing so many people together again and supporting great talent that don't want to be content creators, but actually want to be able to focus on their music, which is what it should be all about.
Focus on your own music. What are your short-term goals for like the next year, for example? Are you planning to pick that up more again after hosting so many shows, or is it more like a second priority right now? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm recalibrating. I think it's so challenging in the music industry right now. I'm more focused on fixing the environment around us than trying to break through the noise. And after my breakup, to be honest, after writing a whole album about my girlfriend at the time, I was like, yeah, I need space from that. But what's beautiful is like I'm starting to get inspired after like a year or two break now. Actually started recording again, which I'm really enjoying again, and falling back in love with my music really is my priority at the moment, and not stressing about playing a certain amount of gigs and having to conform to what the music industry want you to do, because a lot of the time the music industry don't have a bloody clue anyway. Mm-hmm. And they just are one step behind of the next trend anyway. So I'm just doing what's right for me and what I'm finding fun in it again. Basically, that's my priority, and not stressing. I'm recording and producing my own tracks in my studio here in Berlin every now and then, but I'm not pressuring myself to conform to an algorithm or anything.
A few last things to wrap it up, because we're trying to get to know Berlin a bit better, of course.
Let's go.
Do you have any restaurant tips for us here? Like any favorite restaurants that you like to visit?
Okay, how long do we have?
2 restaurants.
2 restaurants. I think the best sushi I've ever had is Sisaya,
Okay.
Prenzlauer Berg. And there's a great Moroccan place near Gulitzer Platz called Marrakesh, maybe?
Oh yeah, I think yeah.
Really like that one. But my favourite kebab is Royam's.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
I love that one too.
So good, but it's so long to queue for it these days.
There's one in Prenzlauer Berg as well now, right?
Yeah, but that's a super long line as well.
Yeah, it's crazy, the lines.
Yeah, but hey, I'm British. I love queuing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, fair enough.
Just
and then
not
in
for
terms of
Berghain.
venues, like, do you have any venues outside of course, the unique venues you perform in now, but are there any like typical music venues that you like here in Berlin?
In Berlin, to be honest, it's been a while since I played a public show. I love the studio, the famous Gold Watch.
Okay.
I love the intimacy there, and I love what Cameron's done with building that. And there's been some amazing shows there. I think that's a great spot. Of course, it's a recording studio, so they don't do that many shows. That's a great one. I love Tempo Drum as well. I saw Snow Patrol and Ryex play there. That's one of my favourite gigs ever. That's on my bucket list to play one day. And one final one. Can't think of any more, so I'll end at that.
Speaking about the future, like if we would be sitting here again in a year, what will have happened in your musical life?
I'm pretty confident I'll have an album ready. I seem to be leaning towards that angle these days. I hope Sofar Sounds Berlin is better established to support more artists as well. And hopefully, yeah, just the music industry gets its shit together a bit more, where either Spotify rewards creators more, or there's a competitor that can kind of make it a bit more fairer. I think it's going to take longer than a year though. But me personally, yeah, I'll be mostly in kind of songwriting, recording mode over the next year.
Nice. Looking forward to hearing it.
Yeah.
And thanks for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having
Cheers.
me, man.